Again?
I think we'll just keep it here.
I liked it, it's fine. Let me get up my packet. Actually, I'll just read from here for now, right?
All right.
All right, the time is 5:30. I'd like to call our April Board of Directors Annual Meeting to order. As Ms. Poole enters.
Here we go.
Welcome,
Shelby.
Thanks. Wonderful. I just called us to order. If you want to continue.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do roll call, Kathleen.
Michael Lynch, Julie O's, here. Shelby Poole,
Here.
Brian Sheep, Jolene Squirtle,
Here.
Nicole Stevens,
Here.
Joe Valentine,
Here.
Patrick Holman.
Here.
All right, Ryan is not here. Is there anyone else who would like to read the mission and vision? Kathy.
All right. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research, combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the academic and leadership challenges they will face in high school and beyond.
Make a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to approve the March 28th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second.
And a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 28th. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare this evening? Any public comment? All right. I do not have anything for the board report, so we will turn it over to Kathy for the director's report.
All right, that was quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the new, under organizational leadership, I would just bring to your attention that the new WLA Executive Director, Jonas, will be on site May 15th. He's going to tour the building and meet with staff members. We're excited and looking forward to that, building out a schedule for him. Under instructional leadership, I listed some trainings down there. I would just like to give a shout out to Paula Krippner, our special ed director, who just provided some what I think was very exceptional training on basically the brain development this last PD day. We're going to come back to some floor plans when we have our principals. We're going to talk about high school progress on that. Financial management, there's a fair amount of year-end spending that I'm working on with the finance committee. I think we'll wrap that up probably, Jolene, in a couple weeks and get some green lights on some things. Dustin will be here at the May board meeting. Part of the slowdown for the budget being ready is that Monarch Busing did not provide the contract until actually about 2.5 weeks ago. Just for the board's information, there will be about a 6% increase in busing costs, plus we're adding another bus. We did contact 3 other bus companies to give us bids, but they're not providing bids or taking on new customers at this time. And we do love, I will speak for myself, I do love working with Monarch. But driver shortages, incentives, unemployment costs for during the summer, there's lots of reasons for those prices to go up. And we had to step back and take some time to look at the budget. Okay, Nancy is working closely with Nicole Link in the office, getting her trained on accounts payable. I'm working closely with Nicole to train her on human resource items. One of the things that I'll clarify in an email tomorrow is that we ordered some new folders. They're blue and they have lots of sections in them, and we've started really getting the HR folders organized, but we asked, 10 or 12 staff members to provide us with their resumes so we can make sure that those folders are just shiny and new and look perfect in everyone's health services, and all of, their tax forms and everything is just in there organized, and we had some staff members kind of freak out about that. The teachers in here know what I'm talking about.
Was it some or was it everybody?
No, if we
There's
didn't,
some.
yeah, if we didn't have your resume, we asked for it so that we could have a nice complete folder. So some people were like, how come they have to provide theirs and I don't have to provide mine? And we'll get an email out on that tomorrow,
It
but
was just kind of a weird thing.
it felt weird evidently.
It does.
So,
I didn't get an email.
well, we have your resume then. So we're gonna clean that up tomorrow, but Nicole's working hard to get everything just really well organized. I wanna make sure it's perfect, or we want to make sure it's perfect as Jonas steps in. He doesn't have to try to hunt things down and, okay, I'm rambling. Okay, admin team is preparing to renew employment agreements based on the end of the year evaluations, and as soon as the board passes the budget, we're looking at a 3% raise, which the Department of Education adds another 3% pretty much every year, so the new budget is based on that. I would like to get these contracts out tentatively based on that. I don't want to wait till June. So with the board's kind of nod, you don't have to make a motion, but with the nods of your head, we'd like to get some of these out. And then if the board passes a budget that enables it to pass higher raises, we certainly would.
Just like last year.
Yeah, but my guess is they won't go above 3%. But does that seem like a good idea to you guys?
I think so.
Start getting these
The
contracts
neighbors
out.
are getting restless.
For sure.
Thank you.
I get a lot of questions.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Working on that. And then you've got some positions here. It looks like we have filled kindergarten, we filled second grade. That person I think is going to be signing tomorrow. We're on the verge of filling fifth grade. The middle school math and electives, I know the principals are going to talk about that in a minute. A couple things, those bullets at the end are sensitive, but we have resolved several employee performance issues. All ended positively, I thought, for the employees and the organization. One did require assistance with our lawyer. And then we did work with our insurance company lawyer to resolve a complaint, a suit that was brought against WLA, but they found that WLA was not at fault. We don't have to pay anything on that complaint. So just some of the work that happens behind the scenes. On the next page, I and we, the facilities and the finance committee, we've been working with the contractors, architect, designers, kindergarten teams, first grade teams to redesign this original part of the building. It looks like Woodbury, the city of Woodbury, expects to give us our permits for that next Friday. So as soon as the subcontractor is ready to come in and start demolition, we'll be hitting that in May. So I am excited to make sure that everything looks great by the end of June.
You can't leave until it does.
Right? I'll be here shaking off the dust. So I'm excited about that. I know I've rushed through it. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to the principals, and they're going to slow things down and talk about high school. Go ahead.
I have questions about the
Yeah.
transportation. Do we want to discuss that now or when we do the approval of the contract?
Either way.
Just to readdress Sarah's question from before, she had asked about 622 and what it would look like to use their transportation and would it save money, and I was just wondering if.
Yeah, it would not. It would cost us money because we do get a kickback from the state for a partial reimbursement. And then they would not be required to transport anybody in Woodbury or 833. And about 90% of our kids live in 833. So those kids would no longer get busing.
So it's kind of like we either have to be part of 833 or 622, like we can't ask both districts to bus?
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Correct. And because we're in the city of Woodbury, it feels like we should be in Woodbury School District, but we're not. It's like a tonsil that hangs down under 94, and we're actually in Oakdale School District. So they are a resident school district, although most of our customers are here in 833.
Got it.
So it's kind of confusing.
Yep.
Anything else? Gentlemen, I've got some handout. I'm sorry, I do have one more thing. I'm sorry. I'm going to pass this out, and then I'm going to hand it over to these guys. This is the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the civil rights in context of the workplace setting. So as board members, you need to do this training. Once a year, if you could just read and initial it with the date of when you took, I'd appreciate that. So you can pass those out. Now, gentlemen, drum roll for you guys. If you guys could come up and talk about progress being made.
Oh, you're gonna do a literal drum roll.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Michael.
We have been asked to touch on a few things, but of course you can ask whatever questions you would like.
Take a copy.
But we're gonna talk about
Ryan,
scheduling.
Mike, I need a copy.
We're gonna talk about some possible sports or extracurriculars. We're gonna talk about spacing and staffing. Provide updates. All right, so right away, first thing, Mr. Broderick is handing out some schedule examples. Of course, everyone in this room is very familiar with schools, so you know that it's a challenge to say we have a finalized schedule at this point in the year because there's still some moving pieces, but Mr. Broderick is going to explain everything as in the schedule.
Sure. So, thanks, Ms. Rice. We like to try and build our next year's schedule around this time in the current school year, knowing that we have some changes that could take place. So we made sure that we put tentative building schedule and draft on the front of it. So you know that this is not written in stone, but this is where we're at this point, and this is what we believe could provide us with some of the best options. So one of the key things in building a building schedule, at least for WLA, is trying to keep common prep time for our teachers. We think that that is a very valuable piece that we bring in, and as we sit in at interviews and we have our current staff kind of talk about their favorite things about WLA, almost always it is that they love their relationships with their teammates, and that is built through that common prep a lot. We don't want anyone to try and feel like they're an island and that they don't have someone to lean on or talk to, because we know it can be a long, arduous year. So, if you're looking at the building schedule, I'm going to do my best to walk you through kind of the thought process and what that looks like. So our first period of the day, we are looking at 9:20 to 10:10. In this schedule, we have 7th, 8th, and 9th grade receiving their specialist time during that time period. And if you go across the top, you're going to see a couple different positions. There are some names underneath those positions for people that we have in place right now as specialist teachers. There was one opening, which is a music/art position. We do believe that we have some solid candidates for that. We have interviewed for that, and we think that we're going to have someone in place very soon for that spot. So as 7th, 8th, and 9th have their specialists, they will, in this schedule, have the opportunity to choose from a choir and a general music. So right now, our middle schoolers don't really have a choice. With this schedule and with 2 teachers teaching music, they will have a choice. They also will have a choice between art. So we plan on offering 2 different types of art to our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and so they may have a choice there, and then they will have 1 Phi Ed class. Because of how schedules kind of work and having to fit everybody in, we also have 2 6th grade sections that will be having class in that first hour. 6th grade is the only grade level in this kind of schematic that does not have what we call the common prep. So the 6th grade would also be in that first hour, and they would be rotating between a Phi Ed and a leadership. And if you look down a little bit, the other 2 6th grade classes would have their specialist second hour, and they would be rotating between a music and a PE. With that, what we're able to do is on trimester breaks, we're able to switch that around. So your first trimester, if you're a 6th grader, you might have Phi Ed and music. Your second trimester, you might have Phi Ed and art. Your third trimester, you might have Phi Ed and leadership. So our attempt to get them, all their specialists in there, is broken up in that way. If you're also looking at second hour, now you're going to see 4th grade. 4th grade going across. In this schedule, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade have 2 arts in their 5-day rotation. So their 5-day rotation may look like art, phy-ed, leadership, music, and art again. So in their rotation, they would have 2 art classes. If you scroll down again, now you have 1st grade. 1st grade is part of our K-1-2 clump. K-1-2 in this schedule will have phy-ed twice in a 5-day rotation. I think if you talk to any of our K-1-2 teachers, they love having phy-ed more than once in a rotation, and it's really important for those youngers to be able to get to go and run around. Similarly, if you go down again and you look at 2nd grade, they have a similar schedule. They have 2 phy-eds in their 5 rotations. They have a leadership, a music, and an art as well. In there, you'll see underneath that music and art, that nice yellow box that says extra prep. Right now, we have holes in this schedule where we have 3 periods where we have extra specialist teachers. Our idea at this time with that person would be they get the opportunity to co-teach with a partner teacher, which we know would be very valuable. We'd also be able to utilize that person, if they're not co-teaching, to maybe step out and sub in for a different specialist that needs that person at that time.
Or study halls for
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
We want to be able to fill their schedule and utilize them appropriately.
Yep.
After 2nd grade, you're going to see lunch. In this schedule, all of our specialists have lunch at the same time. We are not able to give our specialist teachers a common prep across the board, but we do believe that there should be a time when they all get to be together. And in this case, that could be lunch. So if a specialist or a music specialist wants to eat lunch with an art specialist, they have an opportunity, at least at some point in their schedule, to do that.
And there's 8:15 till 9, but I know we have a lot of committee meetings, but.
Yeah. After the lunch period, we have our kindergarten. Kindergarten has, again, 2 phy-eds in that rotation. We also spoke with some members of the phy-ed team who were a little bit concerned with kindergartners being overstimulated, maybe in our phy-ed space, and maybe being able to utilize some other spaces, outdoor spaces, or maybe some of our cafeterias that are within our school. So we looked at that time, and then I talked with our maintenance team to see if they really wanted to use a cafeteria, can it get cleaned by the time a lunch is done? And our maintenance team does believe that they can do that. So we could split those kindergartners, instead of having 2 classes in one gym, split them to be in different spaces. Again, there's a teacher that has an extra prep. The idea right now with that is that person gets a chance to co-teach. Go down to the second to last period, that's 3rd grade. 3rd grade matches with 2 arts. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, again, have 2 arts in their rotation. And then 5th grade also has 2 arts. And that's kind of what we're proposing for our tentative building schedule. What that would mean then is if you flip your page, what does that look like for this middle school and high school that we're kind of looking at? So you will see kind of across the top of this second form, SS, that stands for social studies, science, math, language arts, and then we have this elective teacher or leadership teacher. It's important to note that in that building schedule you looked at, K through 6 all has a leadership built into their rotation for specialists. They all receive their leadership class in their specialist rotation. In this middle school and high school schedule, 7th, 8th, and 9th would receive leadership daily. And that would be provided by this elective/leadership teacher. This is also a position that we feel will have the opportunity to teach many different kind of mini segments throughout a school year. So it can have a strong leadership focus for maybe a 6-week period. Maybe they can do robotics for a 6-week period. Maybe they can do financial planning or health, or we think the possibilities are really
Like
open.
career pathways,
Yep.
some of those things, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So we are looking right now, when they talk about a leadership position or middle school, we've called it the Swiss Army knife, the thing that has it all type position. That is what we're talking about, is that extra position. So in this schedule, you'll see that when our students arrive, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they start with their specialist class. Following their specialist class, they have a 20-minute homeroom period where we can do some social emotional learning. We can get us planned for the day. We can get us ready. That has some strong value. After your homeroom, your HR, you move right into your first class of the day, first non-specialist class of the day. There is no transition time between homeroom and your first class because you would stay in your classroom. So if I was your homeroom teacher, now I'm your science teacher for the first block. We also met with middle school team and talked to some teachers, and we found that the optimal transition time is about 3 minutes for our middle schoolers. So we built that into this schedule. So then you'd have a 3-minute little transition time, and then you would just rotate through your coursework. So throughout the day, you'd have social studies, science, math, language, arts, and then you would also have that leadership elective piece.
And specialists.
Yep, and specialists. We have all our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders having lunch at the same time. We do believe in this schedule that we're able to open up all of our cafeterias for that space. So it's not 7th, 8th, and 9th in one cafeteria. It's 7th, 8th, and 9th having the possibility to go to some different spaces. And if you really wanted to, this is just an idea on the table, that could be broken down by lunch too. So if there's 2 choices for lunch, you could have a lunchroom where you go for one lunch, a lunchroom where you go for a second lunch, if you wanted to make it simpler on the lunchroom servers. But that's just my idea that I threw out there, so.
Yeah, and this schedule allows for the high school to have the right amount of hours and periods that it needs for students to be earning the minimum number of credits they need to graduate on time. So it's set up for that as well. This position of, elective teacher leadership, Swiss Army knife type position, our 9th grade students do not necessarily need a tremendous amount of elective classes. Electives come later in their career, but we want to have them doing something, so they're going to have the art and music options, and leadership is also an elective credit. So that position will be key for us to find someone who does have versatile licensure, someone who can do leadership, but also has, it'd be nice to find someone who has a high school license in another area so that they could do electives at some point. But it won't be a tremendous need for a lot of electives that first year.
Yeah. Gentlemen, do you want to point out that as we go, one of our strategic planning goals is to become a distinguished core knowledge school, and the importance of offering a lot of art and music are critical to getting that.
It's required,
Yeah.
Sorry, I probably should mention that.
All right, just want to remind you.
Yeah, that's a requirement as part of the school
Distinction, yep.
Yeah. Am I missing something? Not seeing electives in middle school?
The electives would be then covered by that electives teacher. It wouldn't be a choice of, here are the 5 things we're offering. It would be more of this is what we're doing on this time period to cover that. So you might be able to do robotics, you might be able to do those types of things, but that would be covered by that electives, that leadership kind of piece.
So they have leadership every day? Or do they have an elective in there? I'm completely lost.
Leadership
Sorry.
class.
Okay.
Yeah, leadership class. That would be broken down into units, and we can look at it also by trimester, so what the focuses will be. So I think that's what, for example, leadership, but they could do units on career exploration. It might take, college and career exploration takes almost a trimester,
So they
especially if
won't
you add
get
that into
choices.
finance.
Correct.
Are you asking about PE?
No,
Oh.
currently they have 2 electives
Got
in the
it.
day, and they get
Got
to
it.
choose,
Okay.
and they rotate. So now it sounds like they don't have choices.
Well, they'll have
Well, this
choices
schedule.
with music, they'll have
They'll have
choices with
music,
music, they'll have
PE,
choice
or
with
art.
art.
They will have
won't
more
have choice
choices
with
there,
PE.
Hmm.
But they won't have what we in this schedule, they won't have what we've had for the last couple of years, which is the classroom teachers choosing an elective to teach.
Yep.
And that also came from discussions with those teachers as well, in looking at the number of things prepping for one day, right? And adding a ninth grade section in to be teaching 7th, 8th, 9th. It's more to say, hey, you're gonna teach 7th, 8th, 9th, and an elective.
Right.
Also with this schedule, by moving that around, our class times go up by about 8 minutes. So that might not seem like a ton in one period, but if you think about the course of the year, right now we're at about 47, 48 minutes per class period upstairs, I believe, and this would be 55 minutes. Okay, any other questions on scheduling?
So I think it kind of moves into the next document. You can look at the floor plan.
Yeah, it's really small.
I never thought I needed reading glasses until I looked at
Until
this
this,
floor
yeah.
plan. But the key is to turn to, well, let me slow down. There's two keys here. First page has one set of plans, which is building A and building B on the first floor. So Dr. Mortensen may be able to speak the best on this, but what you're gonna see in that plan is a lot of classrooms that don't exist right now, or at least a few, because we will be doing some construction projects on this floor, as you're aware, to add classroom spaces and some special ed spaces.
Yeah. So the one diagram that you can all see is the gym. No changes over there. We're good. Looks beautiful. This floor, if you look, there'll be first grade classrooms across the front of the building. Kindergarten classrooms will stay where they are. So there'll be 5 kindergarten and 5 first grade. There'll be coat rooms and cubbies, widened halls, so that teachers can better supervise and kiddos can more easily move. All K-1 teachers want sinks. The special ed classroom, for those of you that work in the building, that's kind of that dead end with the 2 little fish bowls that will be combined into one larger sped classroom. There'll be a green room down here for elementary kids. They will no longer go to the other building. I think everybody likes that, especially people in the other building. There'll be a small behavior interventions office. There'll be an elementary principal office. There'll be a conference room. There'll be a couple storage areas. A larger cum file room for Cassidy that you'll enter in if you're at the copier. It will be a door to the left, and it will, we've outgrown the small closets we were using for that stuff. And there will be a second staff restroom. That's pretty important because we'll have about 17 adult employees on this floor when first grade teachers come down, and it's a lot to wait in line for one restroom. One stall. The current PTO room, it's the old PLC room, it's right off the lunchroom. We'll be looking at converting that most likely to a second lunch staging, serving area. But I've yet to talk to Amy as well as Cassidy about that. Cassidy's gonna have some opinions as well. You wanna take it up a floor?
Yeah. So if you turn your packet there to the next page, you can see 2 floor plans stacked on top of one another. The one on the bottom, the lower one, is the second floor. So there's not changes in construction that I need to point out, but on the bottom diagram, the second floor diagram, the thing to note is that grade 6, which is currently on our 3rd floor, building B, is going to be moving down to 2nd floor, which is going to free up more space on the 3rd floor for 9th graders. Okay, so then really the top diagram shows 3rd floor, both building A and B. No planned construction changes, but the point to make is that with that change of currently there are 3 classrooms of 6th graders, those will move down to the 2nd floor, which will open up those spaces. So we'll have 7th, 8th, and 9th grade on the 3rd floor. We'll still have our special education rooms. And then that PLC room could be used as a classroom likely for like art or music.
And I think we have, when the 3 of us were reviewing this again, we have 3 or 4 extra classrooms this coming year on third floor, but that will fill over the next couple years.
Yes, correct.
So I assume fifth grade is moving to building A?
They
Yeah,
are.
so the final kind of path is, right now, first grade is on second floor of this building. They are gonna be moving to first floor. That opens up a section on second floor of this building, which will be taken by third grade. Third grade is moving from third floor down to second floor. Now we have an opening on third floor.
Follow the numbers.
So we're 3 to 2.
Right.
We're taking fifth grade from building B and moving them up back to their old home on third floor of building A. And then sixth grade goes into where fifth grade is currently in building B.
I
So
like it.
building B will be 6, 7, 8, 9. And building A will be K through 5.
I like it.
With their own principal offices, behavior interventionists, green rooms. You're thinking we might talk at a future meeting about Ben being a K-5 principal, since it's all this building. We haven't kind of gotten that far.
Would we
yet.
ever
Fight over that at some point.
Would we ever do like an office, like a main office in the new building to have it be more of a separation? Or do we still want to be very like, everyone's coming and going in one building?
That's a good question. I haven't looked.
Just
at that.
because the more kids we get, the more traffic and things. I don't know, I just,
The other idea to add with that, if there's gonna be a main office, is another nurse's office. I think
Yeah, a
that would
nurse's
that
office would be great.
Because everybody still comes
just
to
it
our.
limits like the intersection of the really littles with
Yeah.
the.
That's a good idea, Nicole. I'll look more at that, but we also have to think about that end game, which is a second site.
Right.
For our, and that's where you'd have your, maybe the district office or.
Also, will we get, this is more of a position, I suppose, but are we gonna get another like guidance counselor, Lou Gecklin type position? 'Cause-
Yeah, I think we're looking at that 18 months out.
Okay,
Because we're looking at adding to the ADSIS grant, that's
Sure.
another discussion as well, but
Yeah,
I think
in
again.
the original
we might-
proposal that
Yeah.
I presented,
That's it.
I kind of laid that out, but not adding that necessarily next year.
yeah, and then would we need an office like space, like are we good with a space for that person if we were to add them?
I think if we add them again, you're looking 2 years down the line, so you're gonna be squished for a while, but then they would go to that second
Gotcha,
site.
okay.
But
So,
Dr. Mortensen has also laid out what it could look like next year, what it could look like 2
Yeah.
years, and just some
Sure.
different spaces.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine right now where my office is on second floor.
Yeah.
If I shift down to
Sure.
first floor.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, there's a space there that would make an excellent
Yeah,
counselor.
for sure.
Office.
Okay,
yeah,
just curious.
you know. good-
What would
good
trip us
ideas.
into having to have, or trigger a regular licensed nurse?
1,000 students.
So we're getting close to that.
Mhm. Yep. They don't have to be here 5 days a week, but, you know, right now we contract, she's in here once a month, but that,
Right.
1,000.
Probably more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, 1,000 kiddos is the bottom line,
It's crazy.
In one building or registered in your district?
district.
So if we eventually go to the next building, we could possibly do
Mhm,
that.
mhm, mhm. Yep. Carry on,
Thank you
gentlemen.
for segueing into the next section, which is staffing. There's not a tremendous amount that I want to add to that. I think Mr. Broderick covered that when he was going through scheduling. But again, just, you know, if you're looking back at Mr. Broderick's schedule on the second page, it can reinforce that as we presented last time I think we were here, we currently have social studies licensed through high school. So that's established. Science, currently, we have a staff member licensed through high school. Language arts currently have a staff member licensed through high school. And so we have been advertising for the math position. We've interviewed one person so far. She may be a fit in sixth grade, talking to her about that. But some others are coming in, so we're hopefully going to get interviewing and finding our math person. But that's really the key, and then the leadership elective positions. So there's kind of those two to fill for high school / middle school. Along with that, one of our current amazing middle school, soon to be high school, also teachers. Ms. Autumn Handel prepared some curriculum stuff just for me to share on her behalf. But if you remember, the teachers there were some teachers down here presenting to the board a few months ago. And so they were excited about the curriculum options that they've been looking into. We've been continuing to take steps by looking through curriculum online. Ms. Handel, you can request curriculum materials from companies, so we've been doing some of that. Ms. Handel looked through her, I can pass these around, you can study up.
Quiz at the end.
Yeah.
Earth and space science.
I got the teachers, no, I got the students edition.
It's heavy, so.
No answers.
But just Ms. Handel took a look through this curriculum and was able to quickly see how the units will meet the Minnesota State Standards education in ninth grade for Earth and space science. Okay. Next, I want to talk about possible sports and extracurriculars. So I'm just going to pass this out real quick. This is a page from the.
Thank you.
A page that I had shared previously from that larger packet about high school expansion. So I just want to take a look at letter P and below sports and extracurricular activities. So I had originally presented the idea of starting or having a goal of next year to have what I call club level sports. But I'm not talking about extracurricular, like fun things after school. It'll, of course, be fun. But I'm talking about club sports where we are in competition against other schools, which is the key for me. So I had presented on, ultimate frisbee, flag football, volleyball, basketball, archery. Since then, I've made some progress on those leagues. So I talked to the program director over at Great River Charter School, also Alex Baxter's a parent here, and I talked to the two directors of the Minnesota Ultimate Frisbee League. So we are poised to present, it's all up to having students who are interested and want to join the team. We are poised to compete in their league next year. It's all set up and ready to go. I was going to start doing it this year, but then something else happened. But I've been in contact with that group to have that set up, so we have a team ready to go. Alex Baxter is a parent of one of our current students and is also an Ultimate Frisbee coach, so he's in position to help us with that. We met with a gentleman named Scott Meyer who runs a company called Pinnacle Hockey. He is interested in partnering with our school to allow our students to have an option to play hockey, ice hockey. This wouldn't be a WLA team because there's not going to be enough children of the same age level yet. But what he is doing is taking any child, or what he's proposing, we're talking about, is he could take children who are interested in hockey, and then his company provides the transportation and the ice time to get them over there. So you have kind of a partnership that way. A lot of things to work out there first, though. I talked to Ed Cassidy, who's the athletic director for Fit Academy, which is a VOA school, one of our partner schools. They have a league called PAC, which is the Public and Charter School League. So they have a team for flag football. He said that we could easily join their league, compete against the other charter schools in the Twin Cities area that are playing flag football, which is a co-ed sport. I've worked with, and I'm meeting tomorrow, Allison Melhorn, who is a parent of a current WLA student. I went a couple nights ago and I attended the Create First Robotics. It was like an introductory meeting. I actually coached robotics for a number of years, so it was very introductory for me. But I just went to show face and talk about our team. They're aware that Woodbury Leadership is planning to start a team next year, and so that'll be the first Tech Challenge, which is a middle level robotics. It's grades 6 through 8. But then the next level is FRC, which is First Robotics Competition, which is another thing I used to coach, which is the high school level robotics. So that's what the future step. So Allison and I are meeting later this week to kind of finalize that, and she has already told me that she would be the coach of that team.
Awesome.
Gary Giles, the athletic director at New Millennium Academy, he has a co-ed volleyball team set up, playing with charter schools in the Twin City region again, co-ed volleyball. So it just has to, you have to have a minimum number of male and female players on each team. But that's a league that we're poised and ready to join if we have students who are interested. And then the last one is I have a extremely talented and eager student in 5th grade who tells me she wants a dance team, and she writes me proposals. She sends me essays about why dance team is so important. She sent me a PowerPoint presentation. So I just want you to know there's student interest in dance, and we have a couple staff members that I think used to teach dance. So I'm gonna have to buy them lunch or something and see if they want to dance.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know you touched on it for hockey, but for all of these, do we have to have a minimum number of students that are interested? Or is this gonna be like a collective, like community, not just WLA students?
So yeah, that's complicated to answer, but yes is the
Okay.
answer. So some of these leagues, I've already been approached for our students to join their teams
Okay.
and compete and participate. That's not what I want. What I want is our teams with our logo and our name
Sure.
at the competitions and WLA teams, you know? And what happens is, like, for example, like Lake Middle School is down the street. They have some teams and they've invited us to join, and right now, like, we have some students that are playing with their teams.
Okay.
But their logo is on their jersey, so that doesn't work for me. Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know if you've thought this far ahead, but what kind of fees are you proposing for these students?
Yeah,
to participate?
a variety, it depends. Like, the robotics is a sizable fee. So that's a $3,000 cost per year for that team. So, like, you know, for the teams I talk to, they charge like $150 fee for students. The hockey that I'm talking about is a tremendous fee. That would be very individualized. That might be a multi-$1,000 fee, but that would be something that's attracting some specific types of students that are looking for that.
That's
Yeah.
comparable to hockey too. I mean, hockey's an expensive
Hockey's
sport,
an expensive
so.
sport. Yeah, right. If you were to go play at high school hockey at at Tartan, you're also paying thousands of dollars. A lot of it is fundraising. It's always important. You know.
Are these groups required to form their own 4C3Bs? Are we gonna have or D, whatever that letter is? Or are we gonna have an athletic council, board type thing to help do the fundraising and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, what I'm proposing is a couple years out.
Okay.
So I wasn't thinking of that for next year, so you are ahead of me. That sounds great, though.
That's the stuff I'm thinking of for.
It's exciting. It's exciting stuff to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and archery I didn't mention in here, but we're poised to enter archery.
We'll compete next year for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of these, so then to take that next step, like I kind of outlined here, and I think, like, my mind, Jolene, is really like a couple years out, and we're looking at how do we hire an athletic director who's gonna take over a lot of that, and we will need formalized fundraising for these teams. And that's always a struggle too, because, like, for example, I was talking to like the Create team, and they were talking about their 3M sponsorship that they lost. You know, and I used to have, Texas Instrument used to sponsor a team that I had, and they'd give us a few $1,000s or whatever, but then those things change over time too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but, so, you know, I'm really thinking of competitive, you know, joining the Minnesota State High School League
Yeah.
to compete in high school level athletics a couple of years out.
I will tell you, I know we use, like the St. Paul Community Rec League is what we did our basketball program through at my school for our high schoolers, because we didn't have enough kids to be competitive to pay the fee through the high school.
High school league, yeah. Yep, that's kind of how I see that going.
And we still have middle schoolers that partner with MSA for cross-country and those types of things as well. So we could continue that partnership or venture off on our own.
But, you know, to both your points, it does take like some focused energy and attention, because people kind of fall into their patterns, so they know, like, oh, last year I ran cross-country with some other organization, I'll do that again next year. We do have to be intentional about putting out this information. Like, I like to do packets or flyers or like extracurricular booklets, kind of like think community ed. You get that community ed book that describes these things, what season they are, how much they cost, and have a catalog, so families can look through that early in the year. Otherwise, they'll just tend to just do what they did last year.
And recruiting coaches and having a formalized schedule for salaries for coaches.
Mhm.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Because you've coached and you know that it's
Yeah.
not an hourly job,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a lifestyle.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
proposing like stipend based, like kind of how we've been, and then move, in a couple of years, trying to, like I said, hire athletic director and see what we can formalize.
Would it always be after school? Because if there was ever practice before school, it would mess up with contract hours. I wonder how that would work. I
Contract
don't know.
hours for teachers? 'Cause
I mean,
coaching
like
is
if they
separate.
went from 8:15 to 9?
Yeah.
They're already on the clock, they're already getting paid, so they wouldn't.
Teachers, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm saying if there was a teacher that was like, I'll do this, but I can only do it before
Right.
school, like if there would be a way to like accommodate that, just because we do want to,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is far.
Tricky,
Just
yeah.
a thought.
When I was in high school, I had practice at 5 a.m.
I had early practices.
Yeah.
I preferred it, because then I did other
Yeah.
things after school.
Oh, I had practice after school too,
Yeah.
2 days we called it.
Yeah, so I don't know, it was just a thought.
No,
And I
good-
know
good
that some
idea.
Sounds
teachers
awesome.
might be more willing to do something before school, but then they're giving up that prep time, so just somehow being able to,
And we've worked through some of
Stipend.
that with some of
Yeah.
our choir practices.
sure, just a thought.
Yeah, we've done that with choir, for sure.
I think being flexible is always beneficial.
Yep.
So that's our presentation.
Way to go.
Thank you, gentlemen. Nice job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well done.
Any other questions or comments? I'll collect the textbooks.
Oh, I didn't even look at it.
You don't want a bunch of those in your backpack.
Exciting.
It is exciting. It's fun to watch from afar.
Or close.
Oh, you do.
You're up.
All right,
Report.
Jolene.
Report. Wonderful. Pull it up. Put that asleep. And, all right, so, finance report, I'll just be reading the financial report, the executive summary of key financial indicators. The average daily membership overview, the original budget is $754 ADM. The working budget is $735 ADM, and the actual enrollment is $738 ADM. The school's budget surplus in the general fund for the year is $238,570. The school is budgeting to spend $5,000 on the community service fund. A projected cumulative fund balance of $2,417,882, or 29% of expenditures at fiscal year end. The school's working budget is projected a surplus of $201,748 at fiscal year end, which would result in an ending fund balance of $2,386,061, or 25% of total expenditures. Projected days of cash on hand is 98 days of annual expenditures. This is above 45 days, meets the minimum bond covenants. Projected debt service coverage is estimated to be 1.27. This exceeds the required maximum annual debt service requirement of 1.25. Financial statement key points. As of month end, 75% of the year was complete. Cash balance as of the reported period is $1,149,863 and is down from $1,390,855 in the previous month due to regular accounts payable processing, including bus company payments. State aids receivable 22-23 balance is $90,388 as of the reported period. This balance will be finalized and received by MDE during its review in spring of 2024. Revenues received at the end of the reporting period, 73.4% of the working budget. Expenditures dispersed at the end of the reporting period, 71.8% of the working budget. Other items, the FY25 original budget will be reviewed at the
May.
May board meeting.
Sorry.
Yep. And the FY24 revised budget will be reviewed and considered for board approval at the May 2024 board meeting. The FY24 lease aid application is in process and will be submitted once all signatures are received. Following, you have the statements with everything that I just reviewed for your viewing pleasure.
Julie and I would just add that the lease aid application was submitted.
Okay.
You had the $1 million contract for signature.
The last one.
The
Yeah.
last one. So that's in. turned in.
All right. Are there any questions for the finance report? That's good, thank you. And I'd like to present the finance committee meeting agenda and minutes. We had our regularly scheduled meeting Wednesday, April 10th at 4:30, a virtual meeting. All members were present. The items on our discussion, we reviewed the financial statements for March. Dustin stated everything was on target within normal limits, doing well. We discussed again the PTO balances for next year and how we want to address the new law that is in place, and decided we needed to table that and look at a few other schools and get a little bit more information on what other people around us are doing to get the best fit for our community. We then discussed the remodels that will need to be happening, and the Building A first floor remodel will be happening, and the playground will be eventually getting there, hopefully. Soccer field will not, that's going to be tabled for a much later date. Bus contractor is reviewed, and the finance committee is comfortable moving forward with the Monarch busing, so didn't obtain other bids, as Dr. Mortensen stated, and that'll be presented to the board at the end of our meeting here. Reviewed the credit card use and purchasing process. We have a new product called Divvy, and Dustin and Dr. Mortensen reviewed that, and we talked about that. Are we saying anything to the board about that, Dr. Mortensen, or is that
No,
just
it's
what it is?
just a process that they use in most of the other schools that they work with, and it seems to be more efficient and user-friendly than what we're using now. It's just pretty cumbersome.
Mhm. And then we had a discussion on a request for some more funding for technology and furniture that Dr. Mortensen had brought up in her report as well. And we decided to table the budget model for our next year, so that a little bit more work can be done with that, and it'll be presented at our next board meeting. And that ends our finance committee meeting. We ended at 5:30. Any questions?
Again, it's not, probably doesn't have to pertain with this, but, you know, if we had to build another building, you know, where would that funding come from?
We would go back to the bonding, and then it's based on the number of students that are enrolled. And then if we come to a place of like, oh, we're just short, we're gonna have to wait one more year, then there's other options, like, all right, can we do a lease somewhere, or can we rent those module buildings for a
Sure.
year?
Yeah,
Or are we just gonna squish for a year?
yeah,
Squishing is probably not gonna work.
yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I was looking at the,
yeah.
you know, the diagram, and I'm just imagining 1,000 students, let's say, trying to, you know, navigate all at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially with lunch, you know, they're all at lunch at exactly the same time.
Well, we have
Correct?
3 different lunch
So there's
periods.
3 different 30-minute blocks, 3 different 30-minute blocks and 3 different lunchrooms, so there's 9 different
Okay,
spaces.
okay. But it's still, it looks like a logistical nightmare.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's challenging.
It's tough.
It's challenging, but we have a lot of great people that make it all happen.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, if there's no other discussion for our finance committee, I'd like to, a motion for the approval of the March financials and the April Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Turn it over to Joe for our governance committee report.
Yeah, we met on Thursday, April 11th. It was Mike Ballon, Paul Stevens, Dr. Kathy, myself, so we were a little short, but we continued on with the annual policy reviews covering the 700 series. We had a few recommendations for some revisions on policies 701 and 704. Both were sent to the board here for the first review. Also for policy 709, there was mostly some formatting issues to make it cleaner. That was also sent to the board for the first review. 714, there were no changes that were recommended. And then Rich and Cassie actually worked together to confirm that the tables on the website match the tables on policy. That was that uniform and the new sweatshirt
Yeah.
changes to make sure everything matched up with that. So, and then we were, obviously Mike's not here tonight, but he was still working to get some further details. And I'm assuming maybe the next board meeting might have a presentation on that other vendor that could possibly provide the uniforms for the students. So hopefully we'll hear more about that next time. So our future discussions would be to continue policy reviews. We'll be reviewing the 800 series. And it was a pretty short meeting. We actually adjourned at 6:20 p.m. Oh.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it went quick.
Yeah.
Not a ton of people.
Yeah, yeah. Did anybody have any questions? I don't know if Dr. Kathy had anything to add to some of those revisions? she
Yeah,
made
just to
that-
point out that I have difficulty with evidently with my phone or my computer when I go home, so I was on mute. So I noticed that on the meetings where I'm on mute, they go really quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We gotta fix that with the, send in the help desk ticket.
Or just
I'll call
leave
you
it like
next
that.
time.
Yeah.
Put you on speaker.
There you go.
I have a question on the 701. Sorry, I didn't make the last governance meeting. The 50,000, is that like a pretty universal versus that? Like, that seems like a huge jump to go from, we were saying anything over 5,000 to now anything over 50,000?
Yeah, it's mainly because of those busing payments are about 360 grand, 36,000, excuse me. I said that right, a month. So then when you start piling up all these charges, Jolene would be in my office at least weekly, signing and reviewing things. Our new credit card systems, there are some schools that have 250,000 per month that they use to run through that divvy system that I referred to. We've applied for 150,000 per month, just to get everyone in the mind frame of how many bills get paid here on a 30-day basis. So yeah, it is a big jump.
Okay, makes sense.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? I'll make a motion to accept the April Governance Committee minutes.
Second?
It's been a motion and a second to accept the April Governance Committee minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And then another motion to enter policies 701, 704, and 709 into the first reading.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to enter those stated 701, 704, and 709 in the first reading. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And Ryan is not here. Anyone else from the facilities
I
committee?
can go over those
Sweet.
since I did them. So we met on the 9th. It was Dr. Mortensen, Mr. Broderick. Wow, I never say Mr. Broderick. And myself. Ryan and Ben were out walking the outdoor spaces with the civil engineers, working on the survey and things for the approval. Dirt work is next. We have 2 bids and then a third coming in, and that should have gone to finance, did it?
No, it's bid from Dirt Monkey. It goes in Isn't that a great name for a company? Anyway, it goes to them in about 2 weeks, Julie.
Is this, what field is this good for?
All the outdoor stuff, playground and,
Oh, the new stuff,
yeah.
just the playground, not the soccer fields.
We talked about the soccer field.
I bet you did.
So next step is starting the playground. Dr. Mortensen would like it started before school is out in June, but that's not looking real promising at this point. As far as the soccer field, Ben and Ryan were talking to dirt people about the soccer field. The irrigation was done wrong, installed on clay, so the water just sat there. Re-rolling won't fix the problem. We'd need to pull up the sod and the irrigation system, dig out the clay, reinstall and add drain tile. Another option is to install outdoor artificial turf. The lifespan of that is 15 years typically, and they are no longer made with carcinogen materials. So we need to look at prices on comparing those options. What else do we have? Gazebo, playground, pickleball, and parking area is what HGA is working on. In the meeting with them, because we're increasing the impervious surface, we'll need to increase drainage. And they looked at the overall layout, they have everything they need to get the plan ready for city approval. Would like to complete as much as possible by July 1st to get money out of this year's budget. Dr. Mortensen talked about Building A, and that's all. We adjourned at 4:54.
Julie, great job on all that, but there's a couple things spinning in the air, so I'm going to add to it. So when we looked at bids, and then I'm going to ask Ben to jump in as well. When we looked at bids, it was to redo the soccer field, it was $170 to redo it. It was, I think, $400,000 to redo it right. And it was almost, I think it was over $500 to do artificial turf, just a second. And then, so at the finance meeting, we said, it's out of the question, the dirt work is gonna have to wait. We need to do remodel here and get the playground up. Since then, some of the facilities, Ryan and Ben and I all share the idea of maybe we do the field and wait for the playground to do the field and the first floor here. So Ben, why don't you kind of give a big, so there's a little unrest into what we're going, we know we're gonna do the remodel here. We're not sure out there. Obviously, we need to pick Jolene's brain and the rest of the board members, but do you mind kind of sharing what Ryan asked you to share in his absence?
Yeah, so we, for those of you that, let's go back a little bit. When we first were building Building B, we looked at what we can do out on the field, right? And we chose to use existing material and then sod kind of over the top of that existing material and put in irrigation. Since then, we've noticed that that hasn't worked the greatest. And last year, we came and we said we were gonna re-roll this field, we were gonna patch some areas that had been kind of divoted, and we are gonna see how well that improved. Slight improvement by doing that, but it's still not where we want it to be. And so we wanted to see what the cost is. So we've received 2 bids that went to finance. There's a third bid that's ready to be looked at as well. All are very similar. But what the experts are saying is that there is a clay layer underneath our sod, so when it rains or when we irrigate that space, when that water is trying to go down and in to the ground, it's getting kind of stuck. And if you've ever walked out there after a good rain, even sometimes a day plus after a good rain, you'll notice it. There is some squishy, it's like carpet that has been wet, right? And so we need to find a way to improve that. And so the people that gave us bids gave us 3 kind of tiers of options. Tier 1 would mean bringing like 6 to 12 inches of material coming off and putting in black dirt and then re-going over with sod and kind of pitching it and doing the right steps to try and make that work. And that is the 130 to 170 range, $1,000, to be able to do that. There's also a middle range which involves doing same process, but then putting in drain tile underneath as well. And that is a more expensive option. Both of those options also involve, and when we've talked at facilities, involve long-term care, right? You gotta think of your expenses of who's cutting it, who's taking care of it, who's here over the summers, make sure it's not getting all dry, because we got a lot of sun that hits that thing, and that's why it looks kind of fried right now. The third tier option, and the most expensive option, which came in at about $500,000, is to do some of that same dirt work to get it all prepped, but then to do an artificial turf over the top. And so that's where we're kind of thinking, and what Ryan wanted me to share tonight is kind of that initial thought process of which one we should do first. Because as he explained, it kind of feels like the time, like if we build the playground right now, then when are we going to get to repairing the field? It feels a little bit like the field should come in and then the playground maybe after that. But it is a big expense, and what we don't want to do is we want to make sure we do it right this time, because we don't want to be in the same predicament in a year and a half or 2 years down the line. Go ahead.
I have 3 questions.
Sure.
For the turf, is that a $500,000 cost and then they cover it for 15 years? Like any maintenance we need, is that all included, or will there still be like various,
I think there would still be some maintenance costs on our end, but I didn't get, once I saw that number, I didn't really ask a whole bunch of questions about, what happens if we get a hole, or what happens if this patches, what happens, like, I did ask about like winter weather and how that stands up, because in my experience with turf, most of them have a bubble, right? And they have they use it as a field house. They did tell me that the turf that they utilize now is meant to withstand the winters. It's meant to kind of hold up to that. Now, I don't know what that means, like long-term with that much sun exposure, if now we get a lightening of our grass color. I do know that 500,000 range was for pretty basic turf. Like, there'd be additional costs if we want to do like, I don't know if you know Boise State with the blue turf, right? If we want to do something just crazy and have orange turf. I wouldn't do blue turf because they run into issues with wildlife thinking that it's a lake, and maybe orange turf.
Never thought of that.
Right? But I do think if we pursue this route, that it opens up that conversation that we had when we started the gym too, about sponsorships and about people. Because that piece of land is seen by a lot of people that go by, and I think there are some potential dollars there, depending on what we do. But
especially with the new road connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a greater discussion for the board to kind of see where we're at. Our HGA, the civil engineers that are doing that project, they're doing it for like a 5 to 10 year plan. So this is all still in there. So if we choose to do one first and then the other, it's still in that plan, because they're building us a scope so that we're good if we want to do a gazebo in 3 years, that we're ready to go.
Was there someone that recommended we put the clay down that we can like go back to and be like, you messed us up, like fix it, or give us a solution, or at least some sort of something?
We went back to the table with the people that were kind of advising us on those types of things, but I'm not a legal consultant by any means, but I don't know where our pushback could be, because, I mean, they told us that this is one option that costs this much, but I don't know what we did for asking questions about how long will this last.
But did they disclose that like the clay might leave like a soggy,
We didn't put clay down.
It was there.
No, we
Maybe we
used
used the
all
existing-
existing
So they just
material.
didn't tell us to remove it then, I suppose.
Or they gave us the option to remove it, but it was
Sure, but
a
it
more
was
costly,
$1,000.
it was a more costly expense.
Well, we added black dirt over it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, to get the initial.
Right.
Yeah, but it looks as though that wasn't enough
Yeah.
dirt. That wasn't enough material.
We paid 17,000 to have the irrigation and the sod put in, and we got 17,000
Yeah,
worth of
fair.
irrigation sod.
And with these different things, I mean, if you went with an artificial turf field, obviously, you probably don't need irrigation in an artificial turf field, but that is one of their worries. I mean, they would do their best in any of those options to try and keep what we have there, but in doing that type of dirt work, I mean, the irrigation might get a little bit obliterated, and then we'd have to relay. But they would do their best if they could to keep what we have in the best condition that we have.
Last question, sorry. And correct me if I'm wrong, facilities, didn't we lock in a playground price?
Yeah.
So if we push that back, are we still gonna be locked in with that price? Because
Don't know.
That would be a.
I would really like
question.
another playground for the kids. So I'm just curious, like, if it ends up, they're not gonna hold our price, does that go away? Are we gonna have other options?
Yeah, I did talk to Ryan when we spoke on the phone before this meeting about, because I couldn't remember if we put anything down.
Yeah.
If we said, here's 10,000 to hold our price.
Yeah.
And he told me that we didn't put anything down per se. So it wouldn't be out money on that, but if it goes up in
Right.
cost,
Yeah.
you know, that's something that we do have to consider.
I'm sure it's gonna go up. Inflation. Okay, that was it, sorry.
So, good job.
I think one of our talking points needs to be is the use of this space as well. I mean, we know that a playground's gonna get used.
Yep.
I don't know if that's gonna get used right away, if it's turf or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that really needs to be considered when we're thinking which one do we want best. I mean, when I'm looking at our sports, I don't have a soccer team, I don't have a football team, I don't have a baseball team, I don't have any teams that belong to us that can use that space. So what's the advantage of developing it right away?
But also to justify that is, if we were to develop those teams, do they have a space to play that they can currently play right now? And some people would argue that that field isn't something that they could play on,
For sure.
like right now.
Yeah.
So, chicken egg, with chicken
Right,
first.
right.
But
Yep.
it is something to consider for sure.
And also impact of number of students, right? Like the
Right.
field is going to impact 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 200 kids. The playground impacts.
But not all 200,
Right,
only those that play
right,
a
that's
sport.
50 kids. The playground impacts.
Would the field
600.
perhaps be used though, like, as part of like PE, like?
It could be.
We could go out there and play football, like, I don't know, to start, kick them outside, right?
Yeah, it would be also a recess space too.
Did it come up at all with the turf? Is there any kind of a warranty? Which I know, like, kind of was sort of what you asked,
Yeah.
but it sounds like maybe you guys didn't catch that part,
Yeah.
right? Like,
There-
is it-
When we explored it last year and got it re-rolled and did all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
we weren't under a warranty for work, or maybe the way that they phrased it is, if there is a warranty, you're warranted for $17,000 worth of work. And if you're asking for a $120,000 field, you paid us 17,000, you can't hold us to the hold us to the standard of, we can always go back and relook. We have a whole archives of all the documents that we've kind of done. It takes an expert to be able to deep dive through there, but we could reach out to Paul or to Sean, and I'm sure they could pull some documents and see what our other options are. Maybe there is something that we can say, hey, we'll go back, but we get it at a reduced cost because now we're re-going through that work with you.
I would,
Those athletic fields can be a marketing piece for gaining enrollment as you grow too.
This wasn't there talk about, like, partnering with the city or other people would rent it, or?
Correct.
If we do the gym,
Is there,
yeah.
that would be a new policy.
is any, and maybe I'm, I don't know, old school, but is there any concern with the turf part? I think of like injury, because having, I mean, it's, especially inside, I've played on some of that before, and it's rough.
Yeah.
And that's over like
Liability.
cement usually, but I don't know, I'm just thinking like, especially if we're talking about soccer, you got, I
There
don't
is
know,
a high
kiddos,
incidence of injury on turf.
and then it costs more too, so then, I don't
I'd
know.
like to see the stats on that, I guess.
Yeah, you can find those.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, yeah.
I mean, maybe it's different being that it's out over, because I feel like usually it's like an inside turf and you're on top of
Yeah.
cement, so it's like.
It
it's
also
not
says-
very
I live
soft.
next door to Johnson High School, they have a turf, and then I drive often past Green Durham High School, they have
Yeah.
turf. Neither one have bubbles over them. Those are just examples. I'm
Yeah,
not-
Yeah,
they
no,
changed the
good to
material
hear.
too, I don't know if that's helped at all with
Yeah.
injury.
And winter hasn't disrupted.
I'm not a athlete
Perfectly
in that way.
considered. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I coach hockey and I make my kids run sprints on the field all winter long. It seems to work for us.
Okay.
I'd
And
like
did you
to,
not ask the deep questions because you thought the price tag was so high?
I didn't ask the deep questions because I
Yeah.
thought that we were gonna be looking at kind of the first two kind of price points. And I was also just getting a quote for what they believe the work is. I did provide both those companies with what I could for survey data. I mean, if they want to do a deeper dive, we might have to pay for a full-on survey to see what exactly is all out there. But all those bids, we can reach back out and we can get clarifying questions done. Each one of those bids also told, because I was getting it in a very timely manner. Like I was talking to these people and walking the field one day and saying, hey, I want a price 2 days later. So they all told me that they were within a 10 to 15% radius of their price. So if that's to benefit us, that's $50,000 on the $500,000 side. So.
500,000 just doesn't, it's a big number, but it doesn't seem that much to me when you think about long-term maintenance and everything else.
True.
right. I think that we should go back to facilities, obviously, and get much more in-depth information, but I think we should put it on a discussion point for our next meeting,
Okay.
because this is,
Our next facilities meeting or board meeting?
I would say both. Mhm.
I would love to see, like, if we did this soccer field now, the playground would be this year. Or if we
That's
did
the
the
plan.
turf, yeah, just like all the different options. Because the high school is important, and I know the sports might not be for a few years, but that's also getting kids to come here knowing that there will
The
be
field
sports
is
in a few
there.
years. So, but I'm a second grade teacher, so I don't want a playground, but I mean, I can see the value in both for sure.
So say that again, Nicole.
I would just love, like, if we said, if we go with the turf, then
The
the playground's
timeline, you want-
pushed to this.
Mhm.
If we do the other middle option, playground's pushed here. If we do the playground, the turf would be here, just
Gotcha.
different options.
Thank you.
Well, if you did any improvements out there, you could probably, have the future, thinking ahead that you'd want to maybe put artificial turf in the future, because it's probably, it's gonna be similar. I think, I don't know, because I because I had already been researching this for something, because it just, there's something about artificial turf, you don't have to
We had our
mow
water
it, But, there is like a weed control, you have to do that, and that's, so you either pull the weeds by hand, or they use Roundup.
Yeah.
A weed killer, but there's probably some organic, less, but that's, like what Joe said, if we had a nice turf out there, football size field or soccer, I don't know what the dimensions are between a football and the soccer, but an area that we could rent out and, I don't want to say make money, but, it would help pay for it.
Yeah.
And then, I like the idea, it doesn't have to be green. I didn't think about, you don't want it to be blue, somebody have to go out there. Joe will have to go out there and pick up.
Oh, the kids would find them.
We would also have to consider that competition side of things, to make sure that the field out there is large enough for
Regulation.
high school soccer or those types of things. Because if we could only fit a field that's gonna be big enough for youth sports.
Yeah.
It's just something to consider.
Yeah.
As far as rentals go and those types of things.
It'd be a nice hockey arena right out there.
Let's put a pool in.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben and Julie, for all of that. We'll get that on the agenda again.
Talking about numbers, do we have that freshman number yet?
We have had that freshman number for a while. Go ahead.
100% prepared, probably a roughly 22.
All right, any further discussion? Are we ready to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, elections.
Cassidy, can you give us an update? Because I'm not sure if I wrote it down correctly. Like, what seats are we filling?
Yeah, so we're filling, we have a community member seat open, which is Shelby's, right?
We have a
Or
open
just vacant. Okay,
seat
just vacant.
currently,
Vacant.
plus then mine is coming open in June.
Okay. And then we have teacher seat, which would be Julie's seat, and then a parent seat, which is Joe's seat.
So who are the two parent seats that will, Joe hopefully will run again. Ryan is in one. Who's the third one filled by?
Mike.
But his daughter will not be going here, so he'll no longer be a parent. So we'll have two parent seats open?
Well, not, I guess not until June 6th then, but yeah.
And that's a question too that Mike and I discussed, like, would it be when she doesn't enroll in the fall, or would it be when the school year ends in June?
I think technically her last day of enrollment would be the last day of school.
Okay.
So then that would be the last
So his
day.
parent seat.
So then he could transition to community if he wanted to stay on, since we have that vacancy.
So would he run for a community member? Or, are we setting ourselves up to have to appoint some seats? Or do we say, well, I know my daughter's not going to go here, so I'm
Yeah.
going to not?
Surprisingly, I actually reviewed bylaws
Yeah,
this week.
please, yeah.
So I think that he could transition to a community member seat instead of a vacant seat. And so that would just be like a motion that would be made at the May.
Okay, so we
Or
could,
June.
okay.
May probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that would be effective June 30th, let's say, we could appoint. So you're
Okay.
looking at potentially appointing that one, okay? Joe?
And then so if we did have two parents, so let's say Joe runs and then another parent runs, whoever got the most votes would be elected, and then we could appoint the second.
I see, okay. That's a lot, so some moving parts on that.
I know that's how we did it
Very
with
many
Rich during that
technicalities
little blurb. We
You
just
know?
appointed Rich as
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so does that become 3 community?
So then if
See?
he went to community, then that'd be the 3.
But then
Also-
my seat is open in June, so anyone is welcome to run against me for the June.
So you would create another community seat for?
No.
We already have, we have a current vacant community seat. There should be 9 of us. So Mike would take the vacant
So there's
seat.
a okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's three spots on each
yeah.
position.
So we're not.
So there's 3 parents and 3 teachers.
teachers.
Oh, I didn't know
We just
that.
never have usually 3.
I guess I didn't ask, I just assumed, that, what happens when you,
Right. It's all right, we got it now.
all right.
And those interested should fill out the self-nomination form on the website.
Just went out to an email, I believe.
Yes. So if you are interested in filling any of our open spots or running for any of our spots, be sure to fill that out, get it sent in. Is there a deadline on that?
Yeah, so today's the call for board nominations. May 17th is when the self-nominations close at 5 PM.
Okay.
And you're checking on the first one. And then elections will be May 28th through May 31st online, and that will be sent to all people that can vote. It closes at 5 PM on May 31st, and then we'll announce the election results on June 27th.
If I can add, this is a wonderful board to work with. It has been through several transitions already, but at the same time, I want to encourage people to reapply for their seats. At the same time, I want to welcome, I guess I'm all over the board, but having a smooth functioning board has really been a big benefit for this school. So whether it's the same group or a little bit of a different group, just keep doing what you've been doing.
All right.
So I Priscilla had to leave early, so.
Okay.
So I was kind of hoping that she would been able to get here early and get to meet. So,
Okay. I did speak with her a little bit, so.
yeah, I had approached her earlier last year if she'd be interested in, committee.
Committee work, okay.
And so I haven't really talked about it, so I don't know what the process is to appointing committee members who are not on the board, or not a parent, not a teacher, so.
I can follow up with you on that, Patrick.
Sure.
We'll take care of that. Okay, 7.2,
I have one more clarifying question that Sarah sent in.
okay.
So her question is just clarification around the reimbursement part, that you had said it would cost more money to go at 6 to 22. So if we say we're gonna let 622 bus our 622 kids, we can't submit for any reimbursement from our Monarch contract then, is that correct?
Correct, from the state, yeah,
Okay, so then 622 gets all of our
Yeah,
funding for transportation.
correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay,
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you, Sarah. All right. It's not on here for a motion, but I will go ahead and make a motion to approve. You want us to go ahead and do that, or we don't have the contract to approve?
We've got it.
We've got it,
It
okay.
should be in the
Yeah,
packet.
Yeah.
page 66.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve the Monarch Bus Company contract for the 24-25 year.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. One quick thing to add on that. Do you know, do their drivers go through any sort of training for like behavior management? I know that bus behavior has been like a hot topic amongst parents this year. Do they go through any sort of training? Is that something that we?
I don't know if they do, but they're not our employees, so we can't train them, no. But I can check on that for the next meeting to see what kind of training they have.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to know, or if we could suggest that they go through some form of training. I know they're looking forward and not back, so.
Yep, gotcha.
All right.
We have one other thing to add before
Yeah.
you dismiss. This might be under demolition for the next board meeting, so we might have to go back to the third floor in the other building, so just don't be taken by surprise if the next board meeting's up yonder.
Up yonder.
Up yonder.
Well, as long as it's yonder.
It's yonder. All right. Anything else anyone wants to throw out there? All right, our next school board meeting will be held possibly here, possibly up yonder, somewhere in the building on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 at 5:30 PM. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.